Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of T.N.T. Garage and Performance, where we're going to take off where we left off on this project, going around and get everything buttoned up and doing a couple upgrades while we're at it. So today, the main thing we're going to be digging at, other than the few things on this list, which, move the tack, put the rear bumper on and such, but what we're really going to get after is getting this B&M Transpac shift kit in here. Now this is 7235 for a 700 R4, and it'll work from 82 up. And so this has everything we need. There's two stages, two kits per se, that you can use out of this. There's a heavy duty one that puts different springs in, and then there's the street one, which is stage 2, that puts spacers in, accumulator, and all that stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and go stage 2. So got bees flying around. Dump bees, they're awful. We're also, if I don't drop it, gonna put a Corvette servo in this thing to really hammer home the 1-2 shift. Could you get away with just doing one or the other? Yeah, I mean, you'll end up happy in the long run, but just for the sake of posterity, we're just going to go throw everything we have at this transmission and get it right. And I'm also going to check the throttle valve cable, make sure that hasn't stretched or anything. Because like I said in the last video, I drove it after I did a bunch of the other stuff, and it was starting to shift a little erratic. Not like, searching for gears, but it was like the TV cable, the piston for the throttle valve inside the valve body was starting to get sticky. So every now and then it tried to stack shift till I got out, moved the cable a bunch, and then it would shift like normal. So we're going to check that and also clean up that piston. So this is my first time not digging into a 700 R4, but throwing a shift kit in it. So we're going to learn together today, which is a first. So that's enough talking. Let's get this thing jacked up and go through the misery of laying on my back. Now that we're under here, go ahead and pull the plug out of the drain pan. And let's start by removing some transmission bolts. Figure out what size they are, probably a 13. Yep. So, typically what I do when I'm pulling a transmission pan down and try not to make a mess is, number one, take out all but 4 bolts. I always leave one in each corner. So let's get this dropped. So this is going to be the fun part. Oh, I hate this part. Yeah, nothing too alarming, no flex, not a pile of clutch material. So go ahead and let this drip for a bit, and we'll get everything all lined back up before we start. Actually, we could probably get the filter out of the way. All right, that's another thing to look out for too. When you're pulling your filter, there's an O-ring that goes on this shaft, and a lot of times that'll stay up in the body of the transmission going up into the pump. Make sure you take like a pick or an awl and get that out of there, because otherwise, if you don't notice it, you'll just double stack the gasket and you won't get suction. So make sure you get the old seal out of there before putting a new filter in, which, seeing as we're going to be taking all this stuff out from underneath, we'll get to it. So we're going to let this thing drip for a while so I'm not getting covered with transmission fluid when we're taking this down. Now, where did I kick all my other stuff off? There we go. Get our pan bolts. Now we're going to switch back to this drain pan for a specific reason. And that is because I can plug that. So once I figure out what I did with the plug, there it is. So we're going to put our drain plug in our drain pan, just due to the fact that when I pull this valve body down, there's going to be check balls that could possibly fall out, and I don't want to lose them. So this is where we're going to dig into the instructions, mainly because I don't want to miss a step or anything like that. So, well, probably start on page 1, Tyler. That'd be step 1. Do not use jacks alone. Noted. Remove the oil filter. Wiring harnesses. Take a sketch. Yeah, we just won't worry about that. We'll just, unplug it. Thinking's overrated. Alright, this harness goes up. I really don't know why you need to take a sketch. I mean, there's 3 plugins. I guess safety first. If you forget where the 3 go, that clearly are in different locations. All right, there's for the solenoid. That's all that. Yeah, that's literally it. 2 plugins. Looks like a pressure switch and another pressure switch and a lockup solenoid. So that's it. All right. Do not pull on the wires. Yeah, we know. Remove all except the center valve body bolt. Beginning with the 87 model year TH700s. Have a tube crossing over the valve body, which this one has because it has an auxiliary valve body. The tube is removed by simultaneously pulling both ends out of the respective bores with the tube removed. If equipped, hold the valve body up firmly with one hand and remove the remaining bolts slowly. There are several check balls in the valve body along with several pints of oil. Have your drain pan ready to catch all the oil and check balls. They should fall out. Save all the check balls at a safe place where they won't get lost. You guys got all that? Because here we go. Oh, what size? Alright guys, we got everything laid out on the bench here, and let's get after it. So, we'll get back to our instructions. Of course, when we were under the truck, you might not have been able to see all this. So there's a check ball inside this auxiliary valve body, and this and your accumulator housing are what hold the spacer plate up into the transmission once you drop the valve body. It is critical to make sure you keep these springs in order. The big spring goes in the accumulator, and the smaller spring, the thinner one, goes above the spacer plate. So now let's dig into this thing. And also, when you're doing this, you really want to keep your hands as clean as you can. Wearing rubber gloves would be smart. I've never claimed to be smart. So there's a lot of steps. I think I'm only on step 4. All right. And now, before you do this, just make sure you notice the orientation. So we're going to flip the spacer plate over. I'm going to set the instructions there. Peel the rest of this gasket off. Might actually have to attack this one with a scraper. Yeah, we'll dig at that. I'm going to set this over here. Set the accumulator in there. And I put all my check balls inside this pan, so other than the ones that are still floating in the valve body. So, drill bits. That's our 1/8 inch drill bit. So it points out which ones to drill, and that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to come on the back side with just a flat file or a screwdriver and deburr it. All right, well, we got all the gasket material off. We've got the valve body clean with a high quality solvent, otherwise known as gasoline. And you want to make sure you keep any dirt and grime out of there. So keep your hands clean pretty much from here on out. So now we need, where are we here? We're going to remove the pin at the end of the MTV valve, which is right here. So I'm going to grab a hammer. Now we'll take a smaller punch. Drive the pin out. Good. I'm going to want to push a plunger in here. There we go. That way you can get the pin the rest of the way out. There we go. Don't lose that pin, which we will set it on top of our spacer plate. Move the pin, remove the plug, which we can get her out. There we go. All right, got our plug. Get the spring out. All right, so I'll remove the spring. Set the spring aside. It will not be reused. Reinstall the valve. plug and pin in reverse. All right. Now, since we're doing the street, we're going to compress and remove the large roll pin containing the line bias valve, which is on the back side. That's my gear selector there. Try not to distort this. There we go. So we're going to take this out right here with a big roll pin. Try not to distort this thing. So, shoot a punch down it. There we go. Now we can remove the plug. Remove the aluminum plug, valve, and spring from the bore. There's the plug. There we go. All right, we got the valve and the spring out. All right. Spring will not be reused. Insert the blocker rod from the kit into the bore. Install valve and aluminum plug. Blocker rod. There we go. I'm guessing this is it. There we go. Reinstall our plug. All right. Roll pin is in. Next step. There's a lot of steps. Heavy duty and street pressure regulator is the next thing. Remove the stamp ring. Pressure, blah, blah, blah. Now the pressure regulator would be in the transmission, right next to the rooster comb. So we will skip that step. We'll mark it because we're just going to deal with the valve body right now. All right, let's throw our check balls in here. And that's it for the valve body. Got a little something in there, but we're just gonna wrap this thing up just so no debris gets in there, anything like that. All right, guys, now that I got you back under here with me, we're going to go back a couple steps because we're going to be dealing with the case now. Go back to step 10, I believe it was, in our instruction manual here. There it is. Yep, step 10. So we're gonna pull the pressure regulator out and replace the spring. So that requires a set of snap ring pliers, which we got these bad boys right here. Now you're gonna want to use something to push it up as you're removing the spring if you don't want it shooting out and taking out a couple of your eyeballs. Okay, after all of the fighting, I've got the pressure regulator out. Need to blue spring out of the kit. Move our accumulator. Blue spring. Well, let's see if we can reinstall all this. So we're going to look at our diagram. Put it all back in. Do it piece by piece here. Just kind of do our little assembly. There, that's got her jammed up in. Make sure it doesn't shoot back out at me. And make sure that it's seated. So that is in and done. Thank goodness. Alright, now that we're on this side, I'm going to move on to our accumulator, which right here, since we're going to do the street style accumulator, we're not putting the springs back in. So basically, what that's going to tell us is if this thing ought to shift real good third to fourth, and if it doesn't work, well, it'll just send itself to Jesus and live out the rest of its days, you know, sitting alongside the worst transmission ever made, which was the GM 200C, the 3-speed that they put in the Corvettes. So, we got our accumulator piston, and we're going to put some spacers in it. So, we got our pin right there, and we're going to put a blue 3/4 inch spacer in the accumulator. So, we're reaching our bag, blue spacer. Our pin, and we're going to dip this in a little bit of petroleum, kind of get her to stay up in there. And now we got our blue spacer. We're going to go ahead, make sure that seal doesn't tear, and we're just going to put the piston right up in there. There we go. Now, on this side of things, so on the accumulator body itself, we are going to put a red and a blue spacer. I don't know what the yellow one's for. I'm not going to ask too many questions. So, get our spacers on the rod. And flip our piston over. And get her home. See, with the springs in here, this would all move, but this is just gonna just all of the send all the time. So there we go. That should be that. Yeah, now I'm doing a street one. If you're gonna do heavy duty, you'd leave the springs in, but put spacers in to limit their travel. Yeah, we're just not gonna do any of that. So I'm gonna clean up this valve body, or the actual case of the trans, a little bit. I've got some spray of my super special solvent, and we're just gonna dab it with towels. And that way we can swing the valve body in. All right, check balls cleaned, sitting there. Now, let's get our check balls in place. Real easy to read it. There we go. Back in. All right. Now that we got a bunch of bolts, all that stuff, what I was really looking for, then when I took a break, is up in the case, there's a check ball capsule. And it says in the instructions that it needs to be there. It doesn't say anything about a check ball. So combing the internet, which is always helpful and obviously accurate information, it says just to leave it out. So I'm gonna. Like I said, this is the first time I've done a shift kit. So yeah, let's continue putting our bolts in. Alright, now we're ready to torque our valve body, which torques to 96 inch-pounds or 8 foot-pounds.
Go this way.
Oh, this way.
Yeah, grab the ear and then just the bushing. Yep, that other bushing moves really easy, so you can probably push it right in with your fucking hand if you can grab it. There you go. Started, didn't it?
All right, guys, a little update. Shift kit is in. And even I haven't put the Corvette servo in yet. Mainly because I have to pull down the passenger side exhaust to get to the snap ring to get it out without breaking the case, which I might have chipped a little bit off the case. But it shifts violent right now. It'll spin the tires first, second under light throttle, but I'm still having that issue where it shifts a little erratic. Sometimes it'll shift where it should, according to the TV cable adjustment. Sometimes it'll shift earlier, stack shifts. That tells me that I got a bad TV cable. So there is one in stock, and we're going to throw that in tomorrow morning and then throw that Corvette servo in there, because as far as this transmission is shifting already, she's downright violent. I love it. That is in there. Oh, God. Some of these clips get real corroded. Ugh. There we go. Managed not to hit me in the face. So now hopefully we can get this servo cap off here without too much fighting. So just take channel locks, vice grip, whatever you got. Oh. Oh. All right, guys. We got our new Corvette servo right here and a new cap. Now, I had to fight and fight and fight because this was so corroded. So basically I had to break the cap. I just took a chisel and kept tapping on it till I cracked through it, and then I was able to actually turn it and break the seal free. Now the kit comes with a new cap. This is just the Corvette servo from Summit. When your original servo comes out, there'll be a spring stacked on here. Make sure that's on your new unit. And I'm gonna just clean up this bore the best I can in here. I'm gonna set the servo down in the cup. And you also get a new wire retainer with the Summit kit, which you're gonna need because I screwed up the last one. When you're wiping this out, try to do your best to wipe it out towards the side of the case. Don't really push it in there. So check all your seals. This one goes here on the outer piston. I'll just use a little transmission lube, kind of bring this stuff around. Main seal. Now, make sure your spring stays in and all your seals. And we're in. lube this and carefully put your cap on. Make sure it slides over that ring on the piston. And we should be able just to tap it home. There we go. Now we can fight putting this in. So just like any ring, snap it around and get it seated in the case. Grab a smaller screwdriver. Make sure you got your ring seated all the way around. All right, servo installed. Why does everything on this transmission always have to be a fight? So we lost a little fluid. Obviously, we're going to want to check that. But I'm going to slap this exhaust back on, kind of clean up under here, and we can keep pounding away. Well, let's see how she bucks. Come to a stop quick. Down in first. Let's hit her. Chirp. I like it. Sweet. Well, there we have it, guys. As you can see, the truck shifts good. It's clearly not my driveway anymore, even though she has left plenty of marks that I got to clean up. But the shift kit definitely helped the 1-2 shift, made that nice and firm. The Corvette servo solved our 2-3 flare shift issue. So those two parts in conjunction with the stage 2 B&M and a Corvette servo is really going to save that 700 R4 that used to live life behind an LB9 tune port 305 that made all of 190 horsepower. So I'm really happy with how the transmission came together. You know, I was on a struggle bus with some of it, trying to get the valve body back up and the transmission, keep the check balls in place. So if you're going to take this project on for yourself, give yourself plenty of time and just take your time and be patient. That is the key when it comes to transmissions. Now, of course, since the truck is gone, my son's been driving it. I did throw the TV cable in it about a week after I did those two projects on the transmission. Really solved any of the remaining issues we had with the trans. The truck is running great. My son's driving it every day. So I'm really happy about that. That a truck that I owned 7-8 years ago that had a 4.3 in it and sold and bought back and built. You know, it's amazing that I had it, now my son has it. And that's part of hot rodding, where you just buy junk and make it faster junk. So there are some small things I'm going to address on the truck. Nothing major, just stuff I want to tinker with. That's all just here's and there's. No big deal there. So probably won't see a whole lot on the truck unless we're doing some other upgrades. I gave the bumper to my son so him and his buddies can kind of bond and, you know, working on his own truck. Now, we do have other projects coming up. Of course, on the Challenger, I want to put a hitch on it. Yeah, I heard the groans, but the reason why I want to put a hitch on it is because I don't always want to have to go get one of my trucks. If I'm home with this, if I have the hitch, I can grab my trailer that I built many episodes ago and just throw stuff in it, take it to my storage shed, or if I want to go camping, I can easily pull my pop-up with this. We used to pull a pop-up with an 86 Monty SS. So, look forward to a hitch install on this, which, you know, it's a little less hot rod, but a little more utility to do something like that. Why not take your hot rod everywhere? On the Camaro, well, we got some special plans for that. with a viewer that was commenting on my LS video actually gave me a good idea. So I have a special plan for that that's really going to reignite my passion to actually get that project done. Also, we're going to have the return, and you guys might have seen this if you follow me on social. On Facebook, it's T.N.T. Garage and Performance. And now I finally figured out how to change my Instagram to T.N.T. Garage and Performance. So you might have seen that two projects from long ago, Project Brute Farce, my second gen V10 4-wheel drive 3/4 ton Ram, and Project Red Ram, my 2000 half-ton Sport, are coming back to the channel. Mainly because I bought a second gen with a Kansas body on it and some other goodies that I want. So we're going to take that one truck and make two trucks a lot better. So, I mean, that's the long and the short of it for this video. For all of you that followed along and made it to this point or watch my others, thank you very much. And don't forget, like, share, subscribe, of course. Find someone on the street, tell them about the channel, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your newborn, because there's something I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy. Also, comment. I try to get back to each and every one of you, whether it's on my socials or right here on YouTube. And I love interacting with you guys. And if there's any way I can help, clear up one of your projects or something like that, feel free to ask. Other than that, I guess, thank you very much. And remember, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. We'll see you next time.